Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing? Are we having a good time at the D2C? Yeah? That's good. I am obnoxious television host Craig Burnett, and I know this about myself because if I weren't a TV host, could I do this? No, I think not. We have a great presentation for you here in the Learning Lounge. Now, all day today, there's been great content being delivered here, and that's why it's so important to attend the Learning Lounge early and often. This is a little bit of a different presentation. I don't know if anybody's familiar. Anybody familiar with the Ignite concept? Has anybody seen an Ignite presentation? A couple of you. Well, for those of you unfamiliar with this type of presentation, it gives you a look into the minds of the presenters, and you get a lot of really good content, but the trick is they only have 5 minutes to give it to you. Once their first slide goes up on the screen, it's a slide timer. They only have about 15 seconds on each slide. So unlike me, they really have to be prepared. Now, this isn't obviously meant to be an intense education session like the Learning Lounge things we've seen today, but it is guaranteed to have a lot of fun. And as you heard me say a little bit earlier, it's guaranteed to be marginally funny or most of your money back. So sit back and relax and enjoy yourselves. Our first presenter has been in this business for a very, very, very long time. So long, in fact, I think his first product was actually a cooker for dinosaur eggs. That's how long. Can I get a, yeah, he's been here, thank you. See, I told you I was marginally funny. His presentation is entitled Exploits of a DRTV Professional. From Meltzer Media Productions, here's our good buddy, Jeff Meltzer. Come on up, Jeff.
All right, we'll give this a shot. What you're about to see is true. My name has not been changed because all of these things actually happened. And besides, you'd know who was actually in the picture, so it'd be foolish to change my name. Okay, some of you may or may not know me as the guitar-playing fool from the 2008 ERA ceremony where I was given the Volunteer of the Year award. It's truly one of the highlights of my career, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, look closely. Do you know this man? Yep. That's me in 1980-something, looking at something very few of you will probably remember, 35mm film. I was editing one of my earlier DRTV successes, Sports Illustrated, and I grew that beard to look cool. This shot, taken in 1993, is my first PR effort to show off how versatile I was. Notice that even back then, I was relying on my guitar to give me the cool factor. And I actually was still dropping acid at that point. Okay, you know, it wasn't always catered lunches here at Meltzer Media. On this budget, the budget was so low, I couldn't afford to rent a car, so I figured I would do a little manual labor, and I could use the dolly to get a location shot and carry equipment. This picture from 1992 is from one of the first NEMA, now Moxie Awards, with legendary host Jim Caldwell, his wife Donna, Alex Langer, the inventor of the flying lure, and the hand gesture was our secret handshake. Okay, one of my favorite parts of being in DRTV is working with some of my childhood heroes. I'm here with Davy and Goliath. Who would have thought that characters from the Church of the Latter-day Saints would have had so much influence on a New York Jew? In the early 90s, I produced a great-selling video called Interview with an Alien. Graciously, the star aliens were able to break away from their worldwide tour of Earth for this photo op for me, and they're saying, look, you're coming back to Vodar with us. In 92, one of my mentors, Tom Peckinham, on the far right with the white shirt and beard, I produced the first edu-mercial 13-week TV series called Mad Math for the Learning Channel, and we actually won an Emmy Award for that. As you can see here, I did have my brush with famous folks from entertainment and politics. On the left is with legendary Eartha Kitt, famous for her Catwoman role in the Batman series, and then New York Mayor David M. Deakins, who endorsed the National Diabetes Foundation. It was perfect. And, of course, here, speaking of celebrity endorsements, this product got a boost from Jessica Simpson, Reese Witherspoon, Miley Ray Cyrus, who publicly admitted to using the Lulu leash. Lights up, lights up. Talk about great social PR. Sometimes the job's dangerous. Here, I'm shooting a video series called Adventures in Oz with Cheryl. Cheryl Ann Silich was the winner of the American Gladiators contest and would have kicked my ass if this thing didn't come out good. And believe me, she punched me many times. Okay, did I say I play guitar? Well, here, I was in Sun Studios where Elvis, Johnny Call, and Jerry Lee all recorded. And I really thought that I was going to get a contract, but then I woke up from my nap. Okay, just to show everybody here that I actually use the products I produce infomercials for, these are actual before and afters of my head after using Avocor hair growth, known as minoxidil. And my girlfriend took these pictures, so they are absolutely clinically proven. Okay? People ask me what the dumbest product is I've ever done. Well, the catfish call could be one of them. After tapping the lake with this device for 3 days, these folks actually thought they caught this catfish with this device. And here, a 2005 ex-Google executive launched Booble.com. It reviewed the best porn sites on the web and had a masking device in case anybody came in and was watching. Oh, man, am I falling behind? Okay. Here's a rare shot of me playing with my Amish fireplace, my secret weapon to secretly get women to submit to me during my bachelor days. It was the flickless flame that did it. I believe I am the only person in the history of the electronic retailing magazine to have this wedding announcement published in it. It was actually alcohol was the culprit, and I bypassed the New York Times to be here. Throughout my entire career, one thing was remained constant. My parents, married 62 years this week, have always been massive supporters of my work and all the harebrained things I've sold on TV. I can't tell you how much I love them. And finally, did I mention I play guitar? Well, this is it. In 2009, under the faux Eiffel Tower down the street at the Paris Hotel. I'll tell you, it's been quite a run so far, and that's just 5 minutes. Thanks for watching.
Jeff Meltzer, everybody. Thanks, Jeff. And I don't know how many of you know this about me, but I play accordion. So next time you're playing guitar, maybe I can play accordion with you. Would that be fun? Okay, yeah. I get that a lot. A friend of mine used to say the definition of irony is when you make a perfect arc into the dumpster with an accordion and it lands on a banjo. So that's pretty funny. Thank you, Jeff. It was very interesting. Next up, we have I assume it's going to be sort of a PG presentation. It's called Why Taking It All Off on the First Date is Like Telling Your Product Secrets to Everyone. From Mark Allen Communications, let's hear it from Mark Allen. Come on up, Mark.
Hello, everybody. The actual first name of this was Getting Naked on Your First Date is like sharing all of your DRTV secrets, and you don't want to do that. I want everybody to take out 2 business cards right now, pass them to somebody you don't know. This is so you can get a DRTV date. Everybody pass out a card to somebody you do not know. And while we're talking, the reason for this is it will make you money, it will save you money, it will save you time. Please do this. There will be a test later on. Pass out your cards. And if you want to date with me, give me your card. I will date you. There will be homework, and I'm not kidding, okay? Old school, Marm, I am your DRTV dad. You will do your homework, please. DRTV is like dating because when you go out, your homework is to call your date. Once you get your card from somebody you don't know, please call them. DRTV is like baseball. You want a home run, okay? You go out, you want a home run, guys. Ladies, you do the same thing. Here's the deal. You don't necessarily need that home run the first time you meet. Romance your DRTV vendor. There's the drama of the date. You remember that? I've been married 34 years. I don't. The mystery continues on date number 2. The mystery is learning about the person that you're going to work with. You want to know everything there is about them, but take time. Don't share it. Remember the first kiss? Ah, that first kiss. The first kiss is when you meet a new vendor, a new person, and it doesn't matter who that is, what they do. That first kiss is important. And then, of course, the first real kiss. You're starting to share information. Don't do it on that first date. You don't want to, because then everybody will know what your product or service is all about. Again, don't get naked, excuse me, on your first date, because then there's no mystery, there's no romance, there's nothing for you to learn about. You want to make sure that the person you're working with is somebody you want to. The impetus for this whole talk came from DRTV blogs where people will say, I have a new product, it costs 14 cents, I'm having it made in China, Joe is making it for me, here is his phone number, please help me. Why do you need? Keep your mouth shut. That's the thing. Don't share all your secrets at first. You don't need to. Especially don't do it online, because the internet is forever. Play your cards close to your chest. Who's passed out those cards? Pass out your business cards, everybody. Play your cards close to your chest, because what you want to do is you want to establish a relationship. You want people to know what you're doing. You want to know that it feels right. That's the important thing when you're taking a product to market. Remember, no talking. Don't share everything. Here's the secret. It's coming up in a second. It's shush. Learn about your vendor. Learn about who you want to work with, because what if it doesn't work out? They know everything about you. You've been naked, okay? You don't want everybody to know about your fat at the beginning. So shush, shush, shush. That's the secret, okay? When you're talking about a new product, hold your cards in, hold your ideas into yourself so that you can share them when it's appropriate, when that romance is real. Okay, the real thing here is if you've passed out cards, be sure to do your homework. Call the person on the cards that you've shared, okay? That's the secret. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Good job. Who had never seen the base diagram for describing sex? Anybody? I finally, at my age, I finally know what all that means now. All right, our next presentation is called Eyes Trump Everything. From Creative Boob Tube, here is Jenny Munford. Jenny, come on up. Either of those two microphones.
1001, 1002, 1003. It took you 3 seconds to decide if you liked me or not. Because the eyes trump everything. Regardless if I had the greatest perfume on, or if whatever I was talking about, or whatever you were feeling, the eyes would trump everything. Vision trumps every other sense, and it is scientifically proven. In a recent study, scientists took 20 of the top wine testers and gave them white wine and put red dye in it. When the wine testers received the white wine with red dye in it, they started to smell it and were giving the attributes for a red wine. Now, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because in our industry, in the infomercial business, it is about the make or break of a deal, and that starts with our eyesight. In the very first 3 seconds of your commercial airing, it better look good. Does everybody agree with me? Awesome. So, the eyes. Now, you don't see with your eyes, you see with your brain. Your eyes automatically take everything in and decide, hey, from the history, I like that color. I like the motion. I like the orientation. or I like the motion on the graphics. The brain sees and pays attention to a lot of color. Reds for men. You want a red for a male target audience. You want yellows for female target audience. All scientifically proven. I've taken a lot of time to speak to a lot of biologists. I'm wearing orange, red, and yellow so that I can attract a little bit of the women and some men. You see in this commercial, what we've done, we pay attention a lot to color of clothing. The yellow in the tie, meaning I want a female audience, and in the logo. We pay a lot of attention to the color in the set designs. Here, the purple for the female and the green for the artichoke in this product. I know I'm not telling you anything new, but I see it time again, people not paying attention to colors in clothing and logos and font colors. This is going to make or break that deal. And it's scientifically proven again. The first 3 seconds, if the color is not right, something is off, you're going to lose 50% of those viewers. The brain pays attention to orientation. Now, if I were just to stand here and just speak to you, you wouldn't really be paying attention to me. But as soon as I move around a little bit, right to the left, your eyes are moving and all of a sudden you're activating a complete different way of learning and processing. I want you to pay attention when you're filming that the orientation of your products are nicely set in the pictures. Hire an art director, hire a set designer. Don't go cheap there, please. It's all about what you're seeing and how the eyes or the brain perceives. Make sure the orientation of the people are very nicely placed, either in the middle, or if you have text going on to the side, make sure that the person is standing inside to the text and not outside and the text going to the right. Here, the eyes always start at the top, go to the right, go to the left. So if your main important message is that logo, put it at the top, work the eyes to the right, and then to the left. The brain pays a lot of attention to size, and this is really important for these before and after pictures. Try not to put 2 of the same pictures together, the before picture and the after picture of the same size. Try to really take that before picture and make it half the size of the screen, because what your brain is telling you is like, wow, that's a huge difference. Everybody agree? Okay, awesome. Now, the brain pays attention to a lot of motion. Again, why have a static picture when we can definitely take that static picture and give it a little bit of motion, and hopefully that motion will come, or I'm going to be doing jumping jacks right now. Well, anyways, a lot of motion to your logos, your pictures, very, very important. Tips for making a great looking infomercial. As I said, it's all in the details and it's really all in the color. Remember those colors. Try to really match them up to the logo, the product, the corporate identity going on. Pick the colors that are scientifically proven to attract your target audience. And watch the size, watch the orientation, and watch the motion. Just a few little tips. Hire set designers, art directors, hire people who are very professional in the industry. Get your spot looking wonderful, because it's only 50% of your success is going to be in the media planning and buying, and the other 50% is going to be in the creative. So at the end of the day, the eyesight trumps all other senses, and it'll make or break a deal. Thank you.
Valuable lessons from the worst managers on earth, maybe even the universe. Hopefully this will come off okay. From Shark Attack Media, let's bring up Kevin Els. Kevin?
Hi. I'm talking about management today, and I don't know about you, but I've learned more about management from bad managers than I have good managers. And you know, I think there's a genetic component in this, because we remember things a lot better, the bad things that happen to us, than the good things. Evolutionary, that helped us stay alive, right? So if you have a manager like this, you've probably learned some really valuable lessons. Now, I have, as far as my background in management, for 15 years I was QVC's advertising attorney, so I headed up that team. I was an engineer, so I headed up teams of engineers, and now I have the worst possible management job ever. I have 2 teenage daughters. All right. Now, I started working when I was 13 years old, and I've been working ever since. I took off a little bit of time when I was getting my undergraduate degree to pursue other interests. And during that time, I worked in factories, I worked in restaurants, I even worked down the street. I worked as a bar boy at the Golden Nugget for a little bit. So technically, I've worked for Steve Wynn at one point in my life. Now, when you're thinking the kinds of things that I learned when I was working in the factory, I learned some really valuable things. I learned how to clean toilets, I learned how to clean dumpsters, and I even learned how to do a really fun thing, which is fork truck tag. Okay, so I don't know if anybody here has actually driven a fork truck, but the drive wheel is on the back. And so if you can get behind the other guy with the forks and lift up the back of the fork truck, that's how you win fork truck tag. Now, granted, that was not the most intelligent thing that I've ever done in my life, but when I was corporate counsel, it did help me out because no matter what anybody ever did in the company, it was not worse than anything I've ever done. So when I was working in the factory, one of my jobs was cleaning a machine. It was like a 30-foot long production machine. And one night I decided that I would do something. My slides are jumping too. All right. So one thing that I want to talk about is how particle physics works with management. One of the things with particle physics is there's something called the observer effect. When you measure a system, it affects that system. So depending on what you do as a manager, whatever you measure as a manager is going to affect what your employees do. Now, I know that seems like common sense, but a lot of managers don't get that. All right, so when I was in the factory and I was cleaning this 30-foot long production line, one night I decided to clean it absolutely perfectly. So I worked my butt off, and I made it absolutely perfect. End of the night, I clocked out, and I had that good, warm feeling that you get when you've done a really fantastic job. So I came in the next night, I clocked back in, and my foreman was waiting for me. And I thought, oh, this is great. So he pulls me off to the side to talk to me. I thought he was going to give me accolades for the great job I did. But instead, he reamed me out for doing a really poor job. So he assigned me to that machine again tonight. As we're walking back to the machine, he's talking about my cleaning job, but I realized that he was talking about the floor a lot, not really talking about the machine. You see, when you clean one of these machines, there's a little bit of oil that's on the floor, so you put down an acid solution that makes the floor really white. Well, because I spent so much time on the machine, the floor wasn't perfectly white. So it looked like he was measuring my performance by the floor. So what do you think I did? Of course, I spent 8 hours that shift cleaning the floor. I didn't even touch the machine. So the very next day, I have no idea how well the production went with that machine. But when I clocked back in, I had taken a chance. My foreman met me. And I assumed I was either going to get fired or I was going to be cleaning the machine for a month. But that's not what happened. Instead, he rewarded me. He told me what a great job I did, because apparently he had no idea what needed to be done to clean the machine. Now, you see this not only at that level, but you see this at all levels within a company. CEOs, there are a lot of CEOs that are, they spike short-term growth in order to spike, shareholder price. Because they're not really being measured on the long-term health of the company. But there's a second lesson to be learned from this, and that is that when you criticize your employees or you're going to talk to your employees about their performance, you really need to know what you're talking about. Because there's an old adage that you've heard, either ascribed to Mark Twain or Abraham Lincoln or sometimes even the Bible, and that is that it's better to remain silent and appear a fool than to speak and remove all doubt. And hopefully this afternoon, I haven't broken the second rule. Okay, thank you.
Just leave it to me to open my mouth and look like a fool. Now, what you can't see behind the scenes, this is intrigue. there is a desperate battle between man and machine happening over at the AV table. This is a presentation that Scott worked a long time on. So we appreciate your patience in kind of waiting until we get it exactly ready to go, because nobody likes for their work to go unseen, especially in the direct response business. I think you can all agree. So who's here for the first time? Just the first timers. Besides Meltzer, why you, I ought to, just the first timer? Okay, great, yeah. And who has never been here before? Just those who have never been here before? Should be pretty much the same hands. I'm just testing to see if you're listening. It's always good to know that the crowd's listening. I made Dave Martin laugh. He just got it, actually. He's got that time delay laughter thing going on. How are you doing, Dave? Is the show going okay? Everything's going okay? Let's hear it for the ERA staff. They're everywhere and doing a great job. Let's give them a big hand. That's really good, because something like this can crash and burn really quickly. See? And it's important to have staff around to help you out. Does anybody have questions for me while we're waiting? No? Now there's a shock. Yes, you there in the front. Jeff? Yes. Am I really a comedian? I think we've proved that today, don't you think? I think there's very little question that I shouldn't quit my day job. All right, now I have seen many of these slides now, and they look spectacular. And again, this is a problem that I have, and I'm really glad that Scott is here to help us all out. Once again, the presentation is the world's fastest crash course in remembering people's names. From Dial 800 LLC, here's Scott Richards. Scott, welcome back.
Thank you. Take two. Okay, now, hopefully the slides will come on. Now, that's not what you're supposed to see. That is the entire presentation. It is now over.
That's just a little preview.
Okay, I'm done.
Very nice.
I hope you like it.
That is fast, my
the
goodness.
fastest way. Okay, you go back to the start.
That is
now we're beginning.
absolutely amazing.
Okay, good. This is the world's fastest crash course to remember people's names. There we go. Now, this is something that I learned from, now hopefully it's going to move eventually. Okay, everybody let's wait and see if it's going to move.
Everybody.
There we go. Hello, my name is. When we say hello, my name is, everybody's got their own tag, and our name is the most important, the sweetest thing that we have. And we expect everybody to know who we are. And of course, Dale Carnegie says the sweetest name is our own name. Whenever somebody says, hi, Jeff, at a cocktail party, or hi, Jeff, everybody likes to know that when you walk in the hall, you say, hi, I'm Scott. And then they say, hey, Scott, how are you? You love it, but you hate it when you see somebody and you forget their name. So that's Ron White, two-time U.S. memory champion. He was at my last panel. I had a 2-hour pre-show intensive on memorizing numbers, and he personally taught me how to remember large numbers of people's names very quick. He says, dogs remember people's faces, and everybody says, I remember your face, but I can't remember your name. And I'm going to show you something that there's a 30-day course you can take, or you can do mine in 5 minutes. And all you'll need to do when you're done is practice it. So this is called Moonwalking with Einstein, an amazing book. Joshua Foer, which is a science writer, he wrote about the World Memory Championship. He actually then went to it and won it by using the techniques that I can teach you. You need a creative mind, and all of these people who remember huge amounts of information use creativity to do it. But once you learn the trick, you learn people's names one time, the picture for them, which we're going to show you. You have to concentrate when you meet somebody. First thing is you find a location on their face that's interesting. You have a picture that you already know, and I'm going to show you how to do that, and then you review them. So when I meet somebody, hi, Jeff, and I look at the face. So we're going to practice. This is Pamela Anderson. What's interesting on her face? Teeth. Okay? We're going to put on Pam's teeth, spam. Pam, spam. Every single Pam you meet, you always put spam somewhere on her face. Who's that? That's Lee Majors. What's interesting about Lee Majors? Got a little mark there. I thought that was interesting. Lee is leaves. Lee and leaves. Every single Lee that you ever meet from now to the end of time is always leaves. Mel Gibson. Mel sounds like his eyes, and it sounds like melon. Every Mel you meet in the entire world from now on is always a melon. And it works. It's like really crazy how good it works. Of course, this is Pat. Sajak, and Pat's forehead seems to be interesting to me. And we're going to put patting something down on Pat's forehead. Okay, and we have, what else are we going to do here? That's Sue and Suzanne, okay, and her lips are interesting. Sue's lips, and you're going to put a suit on Sue's lips. Make it colorful, make it creative. The more creative you can make the picture, the more it's going to stick. What's interesting on this picture, on Dan's eyebrows, I think those are interesting. Again, anything that you think is interesting. But every Dan, you put a fan. Every Daniel, it's a fan that's yelling. A fan, Dan yell, fan that's yelling. And here we have Chris Jenner and Chris's hair, her signature hair. And I'm going to do something to help you remember everything that we actually put together just for the ERA. And you put a big red shiny cross on Chris's hair. And now let's all together practice. Pam, she sounds a lot like spam. Lee, like leaves upon the ground. Mel, a melon, succulent. Pat, like patting something down. Sue, a suit of proper clothes. Dan, a fan you wave about. Chris, a big red shiny cross. That will bring us back to Pam, spam, Pam, spam. And that's how you do it. So, in review, we have location, find a place on their face that's interesting. Put a picture, make it really crazy, and review it. Every time you meet a Jeff, it's always a chef. Every time you meet it's Scott Paper. These are the people at the trade show right now. This is the names. There's 34 Michaels. There's more Michaels at the trade show. If every Michael you meet, it's a bicycle, you'll know. You say, hey, Michael, how are you? Think bicycle. Then you can remember it. And that is the world's fastest crash course in remembering people's names. Thank you very much.
Nice job, Scott. Thanks very much. And Scott learned a very valuable lesson, or I learned a very valuable lesson from Scott today. If everything's going wrong, just stop. No, what I actually am trying to figure out, and Scott, I need to talk to you a little bit later after the show, because I can't figure out what part of my face looks like a jackass, because I don't know what that is. All right, our final presentation is by someone who needs no introduction. You get to hear from him in every edition of ERA's magazine. He has a presentation called The 10 Most Ridiculous Products I've Encountered in More Than 2 Decades. From Rick Petrie, Creative Writer, LLC. Let's hear it for Rick Petrie.
Good afternoon, good evening. I'm Rick Petrie, and these are the 10 most ridiculous products I've encountered in over 2 decades. Now, what do I mean by ridiculous? I mean absurd, inane. For example, this modified Snuggie, no one would be caught dead in unless, of course, you wanted to reenact the chestburster scene from Alien. Weighing in at number 10, we have the Snazzy Napper, the blanket for your face, heightening security alerts at airports near you. I mean, can you just imagine you're, going down the aisle and it's like, folks, we're going to have a full flight today, so please take your seats as soon as possible. What the? I don't know. I wouldn't want to sit next to that myself. Now, some products are a solution in search of a problem, which brings us to number 9, which is the Tank Nanny, the car seat for your propane tank. I mean, I personally have to tell you, I don't see any problem with the way that I safely transport my propane. Along the same line as products that are basically useless is our next entry, coming in at number 8. It's, drumroll please, the Titty Bear. Eliminates irritating shoulder strap problems. I don't know about you, but that guy looks way too happy for my money, and I suspect the reason why is in the lower right-hand corner. And then there are those products that are just so patently offensive, you wonder how they ever even made it on the air. At number 7, the Chio Obama, hail to the chief. So of course, there were actually two versions of this. You had to have the oven Mitt Romney. America's future is in his mitts. I love the touch, the Ben Day dot motif, an homage to Robert Lichtenstein, and I hope that both people that buy that mitt enjoy it. At number 5, we have Rejuvenate Ultimate Facial Toning Kit. And you're kind of wondering, who is this aspirational for? Really? And there you go. Yeah, I think it's one of those situations where you could cannibalize yourselves, excuse me. But and then weighing in at number 4, in fact, that's an entire category, which includes number 3, the potty putter. Lets you practice your putting on the potty. Best of all, it includes, quote, a carpet of the same grade used at miniature golf courses everywhere. Somehow I think this marketer was confusing the position what gets into line up a putt with the actual act of putting. And then at number 2, speaking of niche products, we have the Cush. Breast support for side sleepers, that's right. For women in pain who have had augmentation, there you go. You know, the only thing I would say about this particular product is, well, it fits neatly in your nightstand. Don't confuse it with any other cylindrical objects you might keep there. I did not just say that. Yes, I did. And what is number 1? Well, there are a lot of products for pets. We've had the pet stairs and the pet-a-paws, but you wouldn't necessarily buy them. So coming in at number 1, we have, here we go, the Poo Trap, Magic Poop Collector. Look, 3 simple steps as opposed to 2. Your dog takes a dump and you pick it up. I would avoid that harness because, you know, that way your friends won't laugh at you. So there you go, folks. Something to offend everyone. My name is Rick Petrie. Those are the 10 most ridiculous products I've encountered in over 2 decades. And as they say in Hollywood, that's a wrap. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Very enlightening. Stay up here for just a second. Let's bring up all our presenters down here to the front of the stage. And let's hear it for all of these folks who gave us a little insight into their heads. Big thank you for our first Ignite D2C event. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Craig Burnett. We'll see you next time, and enjoy the rest of the show.